So thank you everyone for coming here today. And also a special thank you to those who've asked for this talk to be recorded because they were very excited about getting to really be a part of this conversation. Oh, I'm a little breathless. I just run up and down my stairs. So, I want to acknowledge before we get into this conversation that in my line of work as a therapist, I've worked with many individuals and families that are on the spectrum and who are earnestly seeking support that meets them right where they are in their inner experience, rather than being made wrong or treated as if they needed to be fixed. And in my experience, they're needing the healing that comes from being chosen and also being given attention that has warmth and resonance with it. And it's also my experience that ASEA Redox provides that accompaniment for our bodies at a cellular level. So I'd like to share my screen with you and share a recording that will allow us to learn about this biotech company that's developed a technology that's changing the face of health on a global scale. Marian, maybe you want to mute people. Here we go. Can you hear this okay?
Salt Lake City, Utah. Took a degree from the University.
I can hear her.
Managed some stores for Safeway, and then ended up going to work for Foods Corporations.
Curtis is a pretty impressive guy. If you really get to understand his background, he is the top of the top in terms of CEO material for America. He has rubbed shoulders and has been mentors of some of the best CEOs in America.
I was asked to sit on the board of a small company that had been working on a technology for about 15 years. Numerous patents, a lot of research, and they were actually producing a product using salt and water. And when they told me that, they wanted me to go on their board. I said, well, you're going to have to convince me that this is real. How can you produce something from salt and water? And they said, we have a lot of research, extensive research, $10 or $15 million worth of research.
He let me know that he was on the board of directors and there was this opportunity that was coming up on a product that he thought was wonderful.
But I told him, I said, you know, they have something here that they don't know what it is. And it's a lot more than they think, but they haven't figured it out. And I said, I am going to put a group of investors together and I'm going to take a run at the company. And over the course of a year, we discovered what the product was and why it worked. We developed what's called the mechanism of action.
They discovered the product was based on redox biochemistry. Redox signaling is a function central to all forms of life. Redox signaling molecules are created within every cell of the body and are vital to the immune system and to cellular repair and replace mechanisms. The product provided a replenishing source of the exact redox signaling molecules the body creates, and in the same balance, enhancing cellular health.
We had contacted a friend, and he was running a very big pharmaceutical company in New Jersey, about $10, $11 billion. And he agreed to send a group of people out and spend some time with us and see what we had come up with. So 4 people flew out on a plane. We spread out all of the research that we had out on a table.
And these gentlemen asked all the right questions. They thoroughly went through all of the science that we had. And as they do that, they'd call back to their headquarters and ask questions. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they came to us and they said, we think you've got something really special here. We're going to write you a check that is large enough that you don't want to talk to anyone else. But there's a catch.
And I said, what's the catch? And they said, you got to shut it down. And I said, shut what down? And they said, you've got 135 people on this product right now. Shut it down. People have problems all the time and they deal with them as best they can. You're going to have to walk away. And that kind of took us back a little bit. In fact, I said, that seems a little harsh to me. And they said, you want to work with us, you walk away. We said, well, we'll let you know. So we ushered them out of the building.
We wanted to make a mark. We found something that was much bigger than either Vertus or myself. We feel a real strong obligation that our task is to make this available the best we can worldwide to help people.
My wife questions why I'm doing this. She said, you've retired more than once and it's time for you to join me and let's enjoy the golden years, if you will. But recently, a young lady came up and she broke down and started sobbing. And she had a health challenge in her family that was really severe. And she was introduced to ASEA. And because of what ASEA did, she was just grateful. So I find it hard to talk about, but that's a reason.
So let me come back over here. And now let me introduce our friend and colleague, Beth Miller. She's retired from the technology world and is currently a certified nutritionist and a cellular health coach. So let me introduce you to Beth. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share.
Thank you for taking that picture down. Oh, wow. Stop laughing, Bill. It's, you know, this is an honor, and thank you for asking me to share my testimony and my story. You know, 3.5 years ago, at 52 years old, I had been to 10, 11, 12 medical doctors, and my cognition and my ability to communicate, and I could see words in my head, but I couldn't actually get the words out of my mouth. And there were many days where I didn't leave the bed and I was exhausted. And I would say to my husband as we would go for a walk, you know, your dingbat wife is here, and he would have to grab my hand and lead me around the neighborhood. And I was light sensitive, noise sensitive, and somehow I was still working in a little bit of capacity from a nutrition perspective. And I was working with a friend of mine, and she offhandedly said to me, have you ever heard of redox signaling molecules? And for those of you that know me, I research absolutely everything. And in this case, I purchased the product without doing the research, and then I went and did the research. And I found Dr. Maureen Hayes on Facebook, and it had to be divine intervention. I messaged her. She doesn't normally use Facebook, and I said, I'm very ill. My girlfriend told me about this product. Can you help me? So by the time my husband and I lived between Texas and upstate New York, and by the time I got to my house in upstate New York, my ASEA Redox and was there, and I had not ordered Renew at the time. So I started taking Redox, and each day I really wasn't aware of what was going on. And I would talk to Dr. Hayes, and she would say, well, okay, today I want you to take this amount. And then she would talk to me the next day. And about day 14, she said to me, Beth, do you have any idea what happened? And I said, no, I really don't. And she said, you remembered what we talked about yesterday. And the irony of all of this is, as my husband is, you know, my testimony is not just my testimony, it's my gift to everybody else. And at about day 14, somewhere between day 14 and day 30, my husband evidently started stealing my water, my ASEA magic water. And I said to him one Friday, sweetie, why are you being so nice? Rhoda heard this story when I was in Phoenix, and he said, Beth, I'm stealing the magic water. And you know, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't I didn't have enough product. I was ordering product every week. So, you know, fast forward, you know, day 30, Dr. Hayes asked me if I had anybody else to share this gift with. And I had a 40-year-old girlfriend. I still have her. She's not 40 anymore. And she had very swollen knuckles and very inflamed hands. And I had done an essential oils chemistry class or something with her. That's where I met her. So she also started on Redox, and within just a few days, you could see, there's a picture that goes around, you could see that her knuckles had shrunk and her hands had actually, she had the use of her hands again. She could pick up her kids without having discomfort. And, you know, fast forward a little bit, 6 months down the road, I am a retired athlete, and I had had 7 knee surgeries, and I didn't realize, because of the cognitive impairment, that I actually had a fair amount of discomfort. And I woke up one morning and I thought, you know, there's a little bit of a spring in my step, and I was no longer limping. And it was just, to me, it was just one more miracle. And you know, I often think, and I still remain skeptical, because I'm very careful about what I put in my body. So thank God for Vertis Norton. Each time I hear that, it almost, you know, it makes me want to cry. You know, what if Vertis had sold this company to pharmaceutical and they had closed down the company? You know, I may not be sitting here, you know, at that point, you know, and 3.5 years later, my life has changed totally. And I think that's the first time I've seen that before and after picture, like up close and personal. You know, I sent it to Marian a little bit ago, and I went, you know, all I could see is the before and the after, and like, oh my gosh, you know, you don't, you know, as the body is starting to recover and heal, because that's what the body does, you don't even notice that the inflammation is disappearing. And that picture shows the inflammation is pretty much gone out of my face, you know. And that before and after picture is probably 2 years old. So, you know, thank you for letting me share just my brief testimony. There are so many stories that I could share about other people, and even my dogs. You know, I had spent $1,000 at the veterinarian, and he said, well, I guess all you can do is pray, because she had eaten something and they couldn't help her. And I came home and I looked at that silly blue bottle and I went, I wonder what that would do for her. And within 24 hours, you know, that pup, 40-pound pup, drank 8 ounces of ASEA right out of the water bowl. And within 24 hours, we had our pup back. So, you know, the reality of what that little blue bottle does in this household has been nothing short of a miracle. So thanks, Gloria and Marian, for asking me to share, and, you know, namaste.
Yes, thank you so much. What a powerful testimonial that is. I'm really grateful, and we'll have to have you back another time to share some more of those other testimonials. I'm going to share my screen once more and hand it over. Marian, you need to unmute yourself.
I have been wanting to introduce Bill to our group for some time. To me, he has a heart as big as Texas. And this is a company that's all about heart. I mean, just listening to Beth, I've got chills going through me, and I'm just so thankful for all the good that ASEA has done for all of us and others. Bill was in real estate for many years, helping people find their dream homes. And I heard by rumor that he was a train engineer. He can tell us if he was or wasn't. He's had some profound experiences. And Bill, I'm not sure who introduced you and how that all started, but I know a few of the amazing stories with your grandson, with your mom, with your wife. So I'm just going to turn it over to you because we want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, thank you, Marian. Yeah, that picture there was just this past weekend. That's my mom. She's getting ready to turn 85, and she's like an energized bunny. Just bought a brand new Buick, so she's been on this product about as long as I have, and she's just unbelievable. You know, that's just a whole nother story with her. But how I actually got introduced to this is kind of like a lot of people do. A friend shares it with you because they're concerned with an issue. And my friend is Tom Beasley. I don't know, some of y'all might have heard of him. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, won a couple of Super Bowls, but he just grew up, you know, not too far from where we live, about 20 miles to get, and we became very, very good friends. And he has amazing stories himself because of what it did for his father and his wife and his brother. And he was the first person he reached out to with me because of my wife. And this goes back really before even Redox Signaling or ASEA was actually a company. It's been about 13 years ago. My wife went to just a routine eye exam at the ophthalmologist, and she comes crying in the parking lot, told me I need to get over there. And she was told, she's a CPA, and she was at 48 years of age at that time. And he told her that in 10 years, she definitely won't be practicing and probably won't even be driving. And, you know, I don't know if that's the best bedside manner you could tell somebody, but, you know, it really knocked the air out of her. And I immediately went over there and told her, look, you know, we'll get a second opinion. And we did. And actually we got a couple of them, different specialists, and they pretty much concurred with the first diagnosis to the extent and said, you know, yes, there's no cure, but hopefully we're going to find one. And anyway, there's two different areas in the disease she has. One is that you can take injections. It doesn't cure anything, but it does slow it down. The other one, they haven't found anything. And so we're 4 years in on this. And I get a call from Tom because he knew that, and what he experienced with his father had had some severe issues. And I want to stay compliant and not mention any kind of challenges, because we're not here, we can't say we're curing or diagnosing anything. But he had some memory issues. He had broke loose into his brain. And anyway, he didn't recognize Tom or his family or anybody, and was not getting any better. And he saw some really, really, really great results. And his wife had an autoimmune disease, saw great results. His brother had some pulmonary issues and saw some great results. And he called me up and said, this might help Jill. And I said, Tom, you know, we'll try anything. She started experiencing what they were suggesting that she would be experiencing. And so actually got on the phone with Jerry White, and he told us a little bit about it. I trust Tom, and so we just ordered a bunch of product for her to try. Now, they suggested her to put it in her eyes, and she said, Bill, I'm not going to put this in my eyes, but I will drink it, you know. And I said, well, all right, let's just drink it and see what happens. I started drinking myself, and couldn't really tell if it was really helping her. But we were experiencing a lot of things that a lot of people do. our sleep was better, our blood work numbers were better because we were taking it regularly for quite a while. But Beth mentioned their dog. One of the things that was ironic, my dog, little Sadie Bug, she's a little miniature dachshund, got stung in her eye with a bee. And you can imagine everything white was red. It's swelled up to, size of a golf ball. And we were actually getting ready to go to the lake. And I put her in the back of the car. And I told Jill, about halfway through there that she got stung in the eye. And she likes that dog better than me. I mean, and anyway, she wanted to stop. I said, no, there's a vet right down the road from there, and we'll check it. But what I did, I sprayed some of the liquid, the Redox signaling in Sadie's eye, and didn't know if it was going to help it or not, but I knew it wouldn't hurt it, is what I was told. So ironically, it couldn't have been over 2 hours. And when we got to the lake, I told Jill, I said, I told her, it looks pretty bad, but but we'll just see what happens. Well, when we got Sadie out, the swelling was down, everything in the eye that was red was white, and she almost didn't even believe me. They got stung. And so at that point, I said, well, Jill, maybe you ought to start putting this stuff in your eyes. And she goes, no, I'm not putting anything in my eyes, Bill. I'm supposed to be practically blind. I'm not going to do it. And I said, well, okay. But I know she had to be thinking about it because it wasn't about, 3 weeks or maybe a month later, she grabbed the wrong end of a curling iron. And obviously that always leaves a mark. And I told her I go, well, let's just, first I was going to put some ice on. I go, no, let's just soak it in this stuff. So I poured some in a coffee cup. She stuck her hand in there and we soaked it the entire movie, actually emptied it out and put some more in. And to all of our amazements, that it didn't blister. I mean, the pain went away and she was just like blown away. And I quit trying to tell her, you start soaking your eyes with it like they suggested. Well, she started doing it on her own. She got an eye cap and she would soak her eyes every day, still does. And she puts drops in her eyes throughout the day. And we didn't have the gel at that time, but when it came out now, she puts gel on her eyelids at night. She uses the Renew Advance and the Renew, but she likes the skincare too. It obviously helps with all the wrinkles and, as we age. But so anyway, fast forward, we're 13 years. And when this diagnosis, where she's supposed to be practicing, she actually sees better now than she did 13 years ago. She still has, according to the ophthalmologist, that she does still have macular, has this eye issue, and but she's still doing taxes. So we're really just blessed to the core. And I've shared this story with a lot of people in that area, and they have witnessed a lot of great things happen, and like I said, I've been involved with the company over 8 years now, drinking it, and there's probably nothing that shocks me anymore. We can't promise anything, but just like Beth and you and the people who's been around this, you're going to find that there's nothing shocks us. We're blessed to the core to hear it, but nothing shocks us. But then now, a lot of times people don't really have something that dramatic happen to them or their family members, but they share it and they hear these stories. But when it happens to you personally, it's you're just so convicted. But then fast forward, my first grandson was actually at the time my only grandson. My daughter, she was a guardian at Lighton. She represented children, and she was a single parent, 6 hours away from everybody. So she obviously had to take him to daycare to go to work, and she had a huge case study just with all these cases of, children needed representative. And when Rowan was born, and when he started getting older, age of 2, he had this obsession with letters. It was just it was just unbelievable. He could put letters together at a young age and say ABCs and just actually put them together and make up words. I know I would just follow him around, and he's young, but we'd be around a car. All he wanted to do is look at the license plate. He would tell me all these letters. Well, so we just thought, gosh, we had this. He's just a genius. And but he had to be a certain age to actually take him to daycare. But the first day when he was at daycare, they called her up and said, Emily, I think you need to test Roman for maybe possibly being on the spectrum. Well, our age, back when I was younger, I knew no one on the spectrum. I just didn't seem, so I didn't really know the signs, and she didn't either. So she got him tested, and she had really the access, because of her position, to some of the best pediatricians, best therapists out there, because that's what she dealt with. So she immediately took him, and when she called me up and told me, I just said, that she was going to get him tested, that I just thought, that's not true. And but then when she told me, yes, it is, Dad. And so I said, well, so I started immediately learning as much as I could about that. And actually it led me to talking to parents that had children on the spectrum. It led me to actually a Dr. Janet Lentella. She wrote a book, The Unprescription for Autism. And it was, I talked to her about it, and I got all this different knowledge. It's won 8 international awards. And so I told Emily that this company, Redox Signaling, that they had seen, I've talked to some different people and had some great results with this, with children on the spectrum and stuff. And so she says, yeah, Dad, I know, she's just overwhelmed. And so anyway, she was taking him to daycare, and he started getting more and more confrontation with the kids because he had no communication skills whatsoever. He could talk, and he could look at numbers and letters and all this, but he didn't know really what he was talking about. And actually he had 3 goals from the pediatrician, because he started to hurt himself, and he started hurting other children at daycare. Now he was going actually to a school for that area, and then he would go to daycare. And they told her, said, if he does not stop, hurting the kids through liability, they will have to remove him from the class. And instead of getting better, he started getting worse. He had 3 goals. One was to kiss fruit, because he just had a really diet. He wouldn't eat very much different things. He just wanted certain things. And the other was to get in a car seat or a bath without any huge confrontation. And he was having meltdowns and all this. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. And then we got the call that, because he started hurting the children, that he was going to have to remove him from daycare. And she called me up. I go, I got this, Em. I'll be right down. And because she had to find a nanny to actually watch him. So I went and got him, and stood with him a couple of days. And speaking with Dr. Lentella and with the Redox, I had a little protocol I was wanting to put together. I actually talked to Dr. Samuelson, the guy who stabilized Redox signaling. He was a big advocate in that area, and he told me some things as well. So when I brought him back home, I was just adamant I was going to try to really make a difference. And she told me at the beginning, he goes, because I sent her product, she goes, he won't drink it, Dad. He's not going to drink it. And he just drinks milk and you can't mix it. So every day, you know, I just spent the whole day. We would just go out and do everything. In fact, I'm going to show you a little video of the here in just a minute. After, I hope I'm not taking up too much time. But anyway, every day I would bring out the bottle, and he'd be watching he'd be on the couch, and I would try to put it in a little syringe and shoot something in his mouth. Well, he wasn't having it. And so every day I'd come in and get the bottle out. He'd just stand up, walk out, and walk into the foyer. So I go, I got to do something different. Now, Dr. Samuelson told me we did have the gel. So he said, start rubbing the Renew, you know, on his neck, back of his neck, feet, just, you know, and he didn't care me to put it on him, you know. And so I'd rub it on him every day. And so I said, I've got to do something to get him to start drinking this. So I just started, we were just getting a great relationship, this because we just go on, take off and do something all day long, you know. So each day this one particular day, I was just acting kind of silly, you know. I go, Roman, it's not so bad as granddaddy's medicine, you know. And I'd take a little shot of it and I'd put some in my mouth and I'd get some more. I go, Roman, it's not so bad. And I walk in there and he comes up with this little grin on his face, which he never really ever shows any kind of emotion, because they don't have imagination. There's no emotion. And he has this little grin on his face and comes up to me. I go, man, he's going to let me get him some of this. And I shoot a little bit in his mouth, and some of it rolled down his chin, and some of it went in, and he goes, it's not so bad. I know it doesn't sound to you all, but that's the first time he ever said something appropriate. I know he's repeating me, but I mean, I get tore up thinking about it, you know, that day. So we played that game for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then when I brought him back, you know, a lot of things were different. So, you know, things always are kind of subtle. And a lot of times when you're around them, you don't see it as much. But when I brought him back, I brought back a different child. And from there, it's just been, you know, incredible what's happened. And before I get kind of too emotional here, let me see if I can share my screen. I just want to show you a couple. There's 3 videos, you know, because and hopefully I can get it to work, because I couldn't get them on my iPad. So I did get them on my computer. I did get them on my iPad. So hopefully this is going to work. So if it doesn't, I'll tell you about it. If y'all can bear with me for a second.
While he's doing that, I'll just share. We were on a conference call weekly together during this period of time. And his heart was just broken. It was so, and his daughter, we all wanted so much for his grandchild to be happy again and to be able to go to school. And I'm just so grateful that we have good news.
Okay, I think maybe it's going to work here. Let me before I say anything, let me see if it gets brought up. Okay, I'm on. I got to pat it a little bit, maybe. Okay, here we go. All right, this is really at the beginning stages. Now, my daughter probably wasn't so crazy about this because he has these designer shoes and vests and everything on. But we were just in this playground. We were just walking, and obviously it's wet. And I don't know if he's ever been in a mud puddle before, but he was pretty interested in it. So this is.
We're not saying anything, Bill.
Oh, you're not? Oh, gosh, I hate that. Well, anyway, I hate that you're not seeing that, because what he's doing, he's jumping up and down on it in this mud puddle.
Yeah, we saw the picture, but then when you went to start it, it went black.
So I'm wondering if you might, when you go to share your screen, does it give you the option to share sound or optimize for a video clip?
Oh, let me try it again. Okay, get the right one. Okay. Share screen. Open.
And where do you push the other options, Gloria, when you hit share screen?
So right before you share the screen, there's an option at the bottom. There's a box that says share sound.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to do that before you start it. I had this problem last week, Bill.
There it is. We can see
We
the
can see it
video.
now. But when
Now, I'm so sorry. I'm so technical challenged, but
This is great. It's okay.
I can, I mean, I can try to push it again, but it's probably gonna do the same thing. But, well, basically, gosh, I hate that, I don't, well, you know what? I could probably pull up on my phone and you could just show it like that, but because we're basically, he's just jumping in this mud puddle. And then I go, I close up to him, I go, hey, Roman, hey, buddy, and he won't look at you. He won't look at your eye. He's just in his own world, and he won't converse or anything. And he just keeps jumping in that, And then I wanted to show you something a year later. And gosh, I wish you could see these things. It'd break your heart.
well, we could see at least the beginning picture. So why don't you try and pull that up?
So you can't see anything now?
No, it looks like it's working now.
Oh, does it?
Well, it looked like,
We could see the red line.
yeah,
Okay,
you could try doing the next one. And the last one was able to download it so I can play the last one, but you could tell the story about the second one.
okay, all right, then I'll take a picture of I'll just do show the second one, which is just, oh my gosh. When I showed that to the guys, Tom and everybody, I sent it to them. It just tears you up because they know what we've been going through. And but the second one is this one right here. And I'll just tell you about it, but if you could hear it and see it, you would go, oh my gosh. I apologize, you all.
No.
I thought it worked.
Well, it looks like it's loading.
All right, we're right there. I'm at I'm down in the basement of my mother's. So, and she bought him this little set there. She got a plastic thing on the bottom. It's a cartoons. They're called Cars. And okay, if y'all got grandkids or kids, so that was a big deal. So there's about 12 cars, and each of them have these different crazy names. And one of his goals was just to make a noise. So he's down there naming every one of these cars, all the drivers. I couldn't even pronounce. It's hard to pronounce some of them. He's naming every one of them, and he's racing each one of them. Each one of them gets to win. So he will go. He goes, ready? I go, yeah. And he starts counting 1, 2, 3, go. And he's going. He's racing them all. And then he goes, like this particular one, he goes, and the winner is Dr. Damage. And he gets and runs around the room. And, it's just, gosh, I can't believe we're here,
Yeah.
So I would love you to see. I think maybe you've probably seen it, Marian. So when I sent it to you, and then you have the last one.
I do. So if you stop sharing your screen, then I'll be able to share mine.
Stop sharing. Okay. And I'll say the last one is actually, I went that's what I went up to Kentucky. That's where they live with my mom. She wanted to go see him as well. And his last basketball. Now Roman was in, private schools for being on the spectrum. Now he's in second grade in public school. And he went to camp, and Emily didn't know it, but he got this thing to brought home and said, to try out play for basketball. And at camp, he started playing basketball. And she goes, well, do you even know how to play basketball? He says, yeah, I played it at camp. She said, well, sure. So they missed the first practice. And this is actually the first game. He's never practiced with his team. And the coach said, they don't know what they're doing anyway. Bring him, he'll get to play, So anyway, go ahead and roll, Gloria, if you want to. So this is, that's Roman right there, holding his hands. So someone has shot, and so they're all going to go back on defense. He's number 9, the yellow going out through there. And so anyway, here, this is crazy. I don't know if you'll be able to hear my daughter screaming. All right, so she's hollering, Roman, you have to dribble. And he stops, shoots it, and swishes it. So anyway, it was just a hoot. I mean, and then I got to go see his last game, and then actually I bought him a big basketball goal. And
I'm playing it more than once. I didn't mean to. That was fantastic.
But anyway, it's just, and reason why I'm just so excited is about what's, he's obviously, and I could go on and on and on through the stories, but one of Emily's clients was just like Roman in the early stages, that they thought he's some child prodigy, but he just got worse and worse. And he was 13 years old, never got any better, and was actually to the point where we're still using the bathroom in his pants and maybe rubbing feces on the wall. And we thought, and she thought, that this is where we're going to be. And we never dreamed that he would have such improvement. And so I just have a huge heart for this whole spectrum, and anything I can do to help, I'll help.
How old is he now?
He's 8, just turned 8.
Just turned 8.
And so second grade. Now Emily has 5 kids, two from a previous marriage. She's remarried, and she had to go into more of a higher paid lawyer just because of the kids. But she's not a garment lighting, but she still does stuff for any way she can. But anyway, that's just one of the things that's dear to my heart. But what this company has done and what we have our hands on is a game changer, and everybody needs to know about it.
And we have a friend that Bill worked with, and their little boy came back from school one day. And Bill, I don't know if you have heard this story, but the mom would always say to him, well, what did you do at school? And he was pretty much nonverbal. And all of a sudden one day he came home from school, and he said he told his mom all about the pony and what the pony and the cow were doing. And, that's the gift of ASEA, and that's the gift of Bill Peary helping my husband with his friend's son. So, ASEA is more than just a product. This is a big family. And I love that.
I love it too, because I love the way everybody just helps everybody. We're not really actually in the same organization, but we're in the same organization. Everybody, and it's just a blessing. I've heard some other stories too, Beth, and it's not just sometimes it takes more than just the Redox. That's where it's the kind of the thing that really just sharpens the stone, that really brings everything together because, you know, our cells have to communicate. And this is what Redox does. And there's something going on. I mean, we changed his diet. We want a gluten-free diet. We did a bunch of things. He had leaky gut. You know, there's a lot of things that has to be fixed. And but when you find out the different areas that, you know, because we're not dealing with symptoms, we need to deal with the source. So when you find out what can help the source, and that goes not just a spectrum, that goes with everything. If you can find out what can deal with the source of what the issues are, and then you've got something. You're working at something that, you know, that can make a difference. And that's what's so awesome about this company, what this company has done. People don't really know the magnitude of what we have our hands on.
Right. That's so true. Yeah.
Well, I think we're getting a glimpse of the heart of the company. Starting with Curtis choosing people over money, and each story that we've heard, the people who come to ASEA have a heart, and they share it. So what's the vision that you have for the future, Bill?
Well, I just think it's getting to the point where there's so much research and so much validation that's being done on this area that I think this will be a household name, and everybody that will either have the ability to know about it, and that's where it's, you know, we're going to change and make a huge difference in the whole world because of what, I mean, there's just when a certain percentage of the population actually learn about what anything and any technology. And, you know, when you have every major university that's researching redox signaling, and then the people like us out there sharing it, that, you know, that people don't know about it. And then once that starts to gel, then it's just going to be a huge explosion. And that's where we're going to see a huge difference in how people look at taking care of themselves. Yeah.
Definitely. So are there any questions that anybody might have that they'd like to ask while we have Bill here?
This is Marian, the other Marian. I don't have a question per se, but I just wanted to piggyback on Bill. You made so many important, valuable points here. But when you talked about we need to get to the source and not just treat the symptoms, this is the paradigm shift that our country and our world needs to make. And we need to cross that threshold from treating illness and disease to preventing illness and disease. And that's why our role as associates is so important, because we are the educators that will help the people understand that shift that we have to make. Because still people are back to, I go to the doctor when I'm sick, rather than why don't I prevent the sickness and prevent the illness, and we don't have to worry about the symptoms. But that's a huge paradigm shift. And this is our role, is to help our world understand that. And the other thing I want to comment on, you've brought up two so very important illness categories. Beyond the spectrum, families dealing with this are perplexed. They're at a loss. They don't know how to understand it. They don't know where to go. But to see that we're anchoring that with the Redox technology. And this is an area that's going to explode, and it brings hope. And this is the enjoyment about this business. The other area is vision. There are so many vision challenges, and the one you mentioned, others as well, there was never hope for any improvement. And we're hearing testimonials of people improving their vision. So these are two areas that are very critical. And we are the credible messengers to go out and spread the word as to helping people understand that shift.
That's just a great point.
Can you hear me? Am I frozen, or are you?
We can hear you.
No, I can hear you.
Frozen. Did you want to say something else, Marian Palmer? Maybe she couldn't hear us. Not sure.
She looks frozen now.
Yeah, she does. Well,
But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was just going to say that after hearing a presentation such as this, that there's different categories people might find themselves in. Wonder if you might want to speak to that, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's options that people can would like to experience this, and as associate. And when I first got involved, I didn't intend. I just wanted to help my wife. But what's taken place of actually sharing it with multiple people and expanding, you know, one of the other needs, especially this time of what's going on, is the way inflation is growing. You know, additional stream of income is not a bad thing either.
True.
And so there are options actually that the company provides that you can actually get this at a retail price straight from the manufacturer, or there's a preferred customer. You know, preferred customers, they are have to have a user-friendly subscription, but they can buy it at wholesale, just straight from the company. And then there's other options as being associate. And that right there has been, it's actually been, you know, a really big deal for us, you know, because of different, you know, we all need to make a living. And this has just been it's provided me to do a lot of different things. You know, I can go wherever I want to go. I can spend a lot of time with my grandkids, which that's my passion. And what it's going to be for me is building, like I said, you saw at the beginning, I want to build a legacy for my kids and my grandkids. And that's what this is going to do for my family, where I'm no longer here. I'm going to have, and I've already started this, places where they can gather and be able to just be together. Because, you know, family's everything, and you want to keep them together. And this is actually helping me to do my dream as far as with that. And so I would really highly recommend getting back with the person who invited you on here and go over the different options, because any option you pick is going to be good. And if you don't pick any, it is good too. But the worst thing can ever happen when you come to a Zoom or anything like that, you're going to learn something you don't know about. So that's what the worst thing can happen, you take away, you're going to learn something about redox signaling. And in any way I can help anybody in these two areas or any other area, you know, feel free to give me a call, and I'll be more than happy to share anything that I can to help, from either the health benefits or even in the financial part of it. And I can be happy to do that.
Well, thank you, Bill. I sure do appreciate that. And I'll be taking you up on that. You can bet on that. Any closing comments you'd like to make, Marian?
I lost my internet for a few minutes.
Yeah, you did.
I was just thinking, when I first heard about this, I had to make a decision. And I didn't know, it didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but that decision changed the course of my life. And I'm just so grateful for the friends I have, for the health I have, and for the gift I'm able to give other people. So thanks for reminding me that, Bill and Beth.
Great testimonials. Thank you both for being willing to come here and share your hearts with us today.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.